Snakes are scary and also very strong. They are also vengeful, we all know that. But despite all of this, they are not always the winners in a hand-to-hand fight. These are the moments when snakes messed with the wrong opponent. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Now, let's get started. Number 1. The incredible fight between a praying mantis and a snake. It's no surprise that snakes swallow all kinds of prey. They're not particularly picky eaters, but when it comes to who would dare to eat a snake, there are certainly fewer creatures willing to take on the slippery serpent, given all the dangers involved. However, snakes do have some surprisingly deadly enemies, one of them being the small yet terrifying praying mantis. Even though they are often much smaller than their chosen prey, these insects have no fear and are actually quite fond of a snake dinner. Considering their small size, it should be obvious that praying mantises usually face relatively small snakes, but even so, it's no easy task. Snakes are fast, they bite, and they're notoriously slippery and hard to catch. So how does the praying mantis manage to pull off such a monstrous feat? Well, it has several special abilities. Praying mantises are masters of disguise, spending most of their time completely still and blending in with their surroundings, so they always have the element of surprise when attacking a snake. Additionally, they are extremely fast, with ninja-like reflexes, grabbing the snake's head and biting it before the reptile even realizes the insect is there. And finally, they're basically complete psychopaths. These insects bite the heads off their mates, so why would they hesitate to rip off a snake's face and suck out its guts? Well, maybe it's time for snakes to learn not to mess with a mother protecting her young, because it never ends well for the snake, at least not in this case. Number 2. A sea eagle catches a venomous sea snake from the water. These incredible images of a sea eagle grabbing a sea snake from the water's surface show how remarkably efficient these birds are as hunters. The eagle spots the snake and swiftly descends towards the water, diving with its talons open and seizing the sea serpent. It rises back into full flight, even as the sea snake struggles in the bird's talons. The eagle remains composed. The snake coils several times, attempting to deliver a venomous bite to its attacker. But on this occasion, although it appears to use its fangs on the eagle's leg, the snake has no opportunity to inject venom into the bird. The eagle subdues the snake's attempts to fight back and returns to its nestlings. And without further ado, dinner is served. The snake is finally torn apart, piece by piece, and placed into the upward tilted beaks of the hungry chicks. Number 3. Ninja mice dodge rattlesnake attacks. The sidewinder snake is a venomous viper, also known as the horned rattlesnake. It's a rather unpleasant reptile, to be fair, and there are few animals that would actually want to encounter one of these snakes, especially in the dark. So when tiny kangaroo rats come across these nasty and dangerous snakes, you might think the small rodents would be easy prey, right? Well, actually no, not always. The kangaroo rat has a range of skills to avoid the deadly grip of the sidewinder, and they are quite impressive. Over several nights, researchers in the desert observed interactions between these two species and discovered that, besides being efficient with evasion techniques, kangaroo rats are also very lucky little creatures. The kangaroo rat has long, springy hind legs, hence the name kangaroo, which help it escape from snakes. And it turns out they use these unique legs in combat against snakes. The kangaroo rat's ninja style involves a remarkable ability to leap out of the way of a snake strike. Despite the snake's speed, the rat is often even faster, and they also seem capable of delivering a powerful kick to the face of an attacking snake, all while avoiding being bitten. These rats, well, they definitely have some impressive skills. Number 4. Cat faces a large python to protect her kittens. Well, this might be a moment where a cat isn't necessarily doing something its usual psychotic self, but instead has a real reason to engage and teach the snake a lesson. A mother cat is a doubly terrifying proposition. She has all the intensity of a mother protecting her kittens, combined with her innate psychopathic killer cat skills. It must certainly be a very foolish snake to take on this challenge. It's a breathtaking moment as the colossal python slithers across the sand toward the helpless kittens. But just when it seemed like it would be the end for the little ones, the mother cat strikes the first classic blow, slamming the snake's head before making herself appear big, fierce, and threatening. The snake, initially undeterred, continues its slow and relentless attack on the defenseless kittens, the imminent cracking of their bones drawing ever closer. But then, the mother cat loses her patience and unleashes all her fury on the potential killer. After several breathtaking moments, the cat finally dispatches the deadly snake, which slithers away in search of an easier lunch. Number 5. Alligator attacks python underwater. Although it may seem like an alligator is truly one of the most fearsome predators in many situations, especially in the Florida Everglades, there's another animal out there that poses a threat to these toothy reptiles, the Burmese python. These pythons use the wetlands of Florida as breeding grounds, and are therefore often found coming into contact with the American alligators that live in these swampy regions in large numbers. These two reptiles are now sworn mortal enemies, with alligators often devouring pythons, and large adult Burmese pythons, representing a real threat to alligators of all sizes. They can easily overpower an alligator under the right conditions. So this combative encounter is truly a kill or be killed situation, with no room for error. The stunning footage shows the fearless constrictor making several attacks on different alligators underwater, and it seems that the snake has no luck. However, every attempt to engage in battle with an alligator is almost immediately thwarted as the alligators simply move away from the annoying snake. Since these snakes need to coil around their prey and spend several minutes suffocating their chosen meal, it can take a lot of time to subdue a large alligator. In fact, who knows if they would actually succeed? It seems that these large creatures may be just a bit too ambitious as a meal, even for a snake of considerable size like this one, don't you think? Number 6. Brave dog faces a huge king cobra. Finding a snake in your garden is probably not that unusual, but a massive 3.5-meter-long king cobra is no ordinary snake, and definitely not a visitor you want to encourage to stick around. These two pet dogs decided they weren't exactly happy with the intrusion of this reptile into their territory and took a very direct approach to ask it to leave. The dogs, named Motown and Lenny, in case you were wondering, and I know you were, ran up to the snake and started barking frantically, all in an attempt to scare the reptile off. But as is common with some large, nasty snakes, this one decided to stand its ground and react, making some dangerous strikes at the dogs. Now I'm sure you know that the king cobra has an extremely lethal bite that can kill a human in a short amount of time, so if a dog were bitten, it would probably die. Thus, this duo was in mortal danger while trying to remove the snake. Their owner mentioned that the dogs had killed snakes in the garden before by creating a distraction with one dog and then executing a surprise attack with the other. However, on this occasion, the enormous snake was ultimately removed by emergency services and reptile handlers and was released several kilometers away in the wilderness, probably thinking up some new anti-dog moves for the future. Number 7. The leopard attacks the python in Kruger. If you think about the way a house cat might observe a piece of rope as it's dragged across the floor, and then simply scale that scene up by about 30 times its size, that's what this situation looks like. This leopard in Kruger National Park, South Africa, watches as a large python slithers across the land under the scorching sun. The leopard is patient, observing intently, seemingly deciding which of its killer methods it might employ in an attack on the large reptile. Whether it's the big cat protecting its cubs, or defending its territory, or frankly, more likely, simply being a psychopath with the intent to kill. After all, it's a cat, no one really knows. But it seems the snake might not be immediately aware that the leopard is watching it, assessing and planning an attack. Then suddenly, the cat leaps and knocks the snake over with a powerful paw strike. The snake is probably a bit dazed, if not suffering from a significant headache at that moment. The leopard then goes for another attack, dragging the snake by the head for a while before letting it go and watching as the snake hastily retreats toward the water, now knowing more about the internal features of a leopard's face than anyone really needs to. Number 8. The mother bird attacks the snake back. After it tries to bite her chicks, this is just too risky and makes the scene uncomfortable to watch, honestly. And if all of this gets too much, don't say you weren't warned. These cattle egret chicks are chirping in their nest as the mother flies back and forth, bringing them food and watching over them. And every time she returns, her little beaks turned upward tremble in anticipation of the approaching meal. Then, as the video progresses, and we expect the imminent arrival of a wicked snake in this idyllic scene, the tension becomes almost unbearable. The snake, when it appears, is small, but definitely vicious. It doesn't waste time and begins its attack on the chicks, biting them and disturbing the nest. But suddenly, the mother bird returns, and as you already know, when a snake irritates a mother, this serpent is dispatched in a much fiercer way. The snake realizes it will never be able to face this bird and simply slinks away huffing, and the bird looks at the snake and says, "Goodbye." Number 9. The python tries to hunt the leopard. The big cat shows who's the boss. Again, cats should never be underestimated. This is probably one of the biggest lessons of the whole video. Even if you're a big, dangerous snake, don't forget that cats are absolute psychopaths. They will kill you, then rip your head off and play with it for a while, all for fun. So don't be fooled, because this includes all cats, both wild and domestic. They kill for sport, and they're really good at it. So when this considerable python thought it could take on a leopard in the Masai Mara Reserve in Kenya, well, we all know what was in store for this snake, right? It definitely gave a good fight. There were even moments where it looked like the massive constrictor might actually manage to catch the big feline. It had a few reasonable attempts at wrapping around the leopard in its coils, but the cat, with its sharp claws and agility, was too quick for the reptile and managed to escape with such skill that it landed a few blows in retaliation. In the end, after a good wrestling match and some tense moments for both species, it resulted in a victory for the psychopaths. So leopard 1, python 0. Python. Number 10. Bobcat kills rattlesnake. While it's true that bobcats are fairly fierce animals, it's surprising that they are so willing to engage in battle with a dangerously venomous snake. Bobcats don't have any magical immunity against rattlesnake bites, so why and how do they get so involved with these snakes? In this video filmed in California, a bobcat demonstrates just how fearless and scrappy these animals can be when facing a large rattlesnake. The bobcat essentially slaps the snake around, and the snake, foolishly, takes the beating almost to the point of death. Then, when the snake has been sufficiently battered, the bobcat grabs the rattlesnake by the head and delivers a fatal bite until the snake's rattling stops, and it's truly very dead. The wild feline then simply drags the snake to the top of a hill, before returning to celebrate its victory by rolling around in the battlefield dust. If the bobcat was bitten during the fight, it doesn't appear to have suffered any immediate effects. Anyway, it should probably be a lesson for snakes in general. Don't mess with a bobcat, or they might just rip your head off. Number 11. Woodpecker goes to war against venomous snake to protect its eggs. A small crimson-crested woodpecker faces off against a massive 3-meter-long snake in an attempt to protect its nest, and it's a tough sight to witness. The snake is relentless, attacking the poor bird again and again, and the woodpecker takes at least 4 bites from the reptile, but each time it gets back up and takes a defensive stance. Snakes often target nests, indifferent to whether they find eggs or hatchlings, and they relish eating either. The tiny, tenacious bird is absolutely determined to protect its nest, pecking at the snake with all its might, prepared to fight to the death to save its offspring. That's what parenthood is like for some. Even birds have these extraordinary instincts when it comes to their babies. Number 12. 5 dogs attack a king cobra. Let's hope these dogs weren't bitten by the king cobra, because although there is strength in numbers for the canine team, a snake bite would still be fatal for any of them. As pack animals, Dogs are especially well adapted to work together as a team against a perceived threat. This group of dogs seems to have a system for dealing with the trickiest snakes, the king cobra. If an individual dog were to encounter a king cobra, it would probably fare worse in the situation. But the dog's team approach is enough to confuse the snake, diverting its attention to different directions, making it disoriented. The snake, which would usually have the advantage in most confrontations, tries to attack one dog and then another, but each time it encounters a different dog jumping in front. This collective effort causes the snake to attempt attacking the dogs one by one, but fail each time, as each situation involves a different dog and never gives the snake enough time to bite. Although the video was clearly filmed by a person, they seem unconcerned with the dog's involvement with the deadly reptile. So we can just assume that everything ended well for the dogs, probably less so for the snake. Number 13. The tegu attacking the snake. Everyone knows that tegus are crazy, that's obvious, but did you know that these animals are also basically completely fearless? They have one of the toughest and most robust skins in the entire animal kingdom. They are notoriously hard to take down, even for predators with the sharpest teeth, and are practically bulletproof, able to dodge arrows, spears, and machetes. So most animal bites mean nothing to them, and a silly snake isn't a problem for these wild creatures. And even if they're bitten, it wouldn't make a difference to these animals. They have an adaptation that means they weren't vulnerable to venom, with defenses against the neurotoxins found in snake bites, which means a snake bite or even swallowing a venomous reptile whole for dinner doesn't matter to them. In fact, up to 25% of the honey badger's diet consists of snakes. Delicious. Number 14. Mother rabbit fiercely attacks the snake. When a snake tried to eat her babies, this mother rabbit became completely enraged. A snake had successfully coiled around the babies, planning a delicious lunch, when it was discovered by their mother. And although a rabbit may seem cute and harmless, you don't want to mess with one or its babies because she is fierce. A black snake like this is used to swallowing these furry creatures as a pastime, so it seemed like a done deal until the mother showed up. As soon as the mother saw what was happening, she jumped on the snake, causing it to release its prey in surprise. You'd probably think that would be the end, but then this mother rabbit chases and fights the snake, driving it away from her territory. Who knew rabbits were so good at wrestling? At one point, this incredible rabbit even does a somersault and kicks the attacking snake. Now, I'm not surprised the snake backed off after that. It probably decided it was easier to become a vegetarian than deal with that level of aggression for a simple snack. Number 15. The brave mother squirrel faces a deadly snake to protect her babies. In a battle between a squirrel and a snake, I'd usually bet on the animal with the deadly venomous bite, rather than the one with the cute and pretty little tail. But this is a mother squirrel, and she's protecting her babies. And a fierce mother is scarier and more powerful than even an evil snake. This epic battle shows how many evasive techniques a single squirrel can have at her disposal when she has babies to protect. The cute little tail, for instance, is actually a super useful distraction tool. The snake easily follows the squirrel's tail and strikes several times, only to be denied each time by the squirrel's quick feet and kung fu tactics. She's a badass squirrel, no doubt, facing death head-on and without shaking, and if there's one thing she does, it's mock it. This is a battle of attrition, and although the snake seems like the likely winner, the squirrel knows that if she can tire out the snake, it will simply go off in search of easier prey. Number 16. Mother hen protects her chicks from a king cobra. Here we go again with these persistent snakes. They never learn. You don't want to mess with anyone's mother. This snake was looking for an easy meal and spotted a nest of cute chicks, seemingly finding its dinner. But it didn't reckon with the chief defender of the chicks, their mother, being so brave. Moving her chicks to a safe place, this courageous bird kept fighting the snake until each of her little ones was safe from danger. The snake kept making intense threats to the little ones while the mother guided them, one by one, away from harm. She continued attacking the snake, presumably cursing it quite a bit, while flapping her wings and distracting it so her chicks could escape. It's an impressive display of multitasking. being a mother in the face of mortal danger. It seems that, despite everything, they never fail. Despite the snake's best efforts, it couldn't bite the mother hen or snatch a tasty chick for its dinner, which is impressive given the odds of a dangerous snake against an ordinary chicken. But she's one tough mother, braver than anyone could imagine. Maybe calling someone scared as a chicken isn't fair to chickens after all. Number 17. Green tree frog eats a taipan. Australia is home to most of the things on the planet that can completely kill you. It's amazing that anyone manages to survive there, especially with so many animals like the dangerous taipan snake, which waits under every rock with venom so lethal that it can kill a human in 45 minutes. A single drop of its venom is enough to wipe out 100 fragile, human meat puppets. So, you'd expect this to be dangerous for all living creatures in general, right? Well, strangely, that's not the case. It turns out that humans are especially fragile and weak creatures who take a snake bite, a small wound, and drop dead. However, the green tree frog, on the other hand, isn't the slightest bit bothered by the most deadly snake on the planet. In fact, it eats it for breakfast, literally. Perhaps this particular frog was out there kissing frogs looking for a prince or something, when the frog in question got irritated by the reptilian kiss and decided to take the relationship to the next level by swallowing the snake whole. The process of swallowing a live snake is somewhat uncomfortable to watch, to be honest. All that wriggling and twisting, it's a bit much. Although it doesn't seem to bother the frog at all, it looks like it sits down every day to eat snakes. And if anything, it even seems somewhat satisfied with the situation. Number 18. Secretary Bird versus King Cobra. Now, this is an unusual and quite aggressive bird with some very charming little feet. The secretary bird is a specialist in killing snakes, and these creatures will not tolerate any nonsense from anyone, especially not from a snake. In fact, they not only get rid of the snake efficiently and fearlessly, oh no, these birds will perform a sort of river dance on the snake's head before finishing off the reptile. In fact, the secretary bird's snake-hating style is so appreciated that people all across Africa keep these birds as pets to protect their farms and homes from pests like snakes and rodents. They don't just kill snakes, no. These tough birds enjoy sneaking up on a snake and eating it as their favorite snack. Oh, and also, in addition to that, they won't pass up a good juicy lizard either. Number 19. Hawk versus black mamba. It takes a very brave creature to face any predator, especially a truly dangerous and deadly snake like the black mamba. The venom of the black mamba is so effective that it has an almost perfect 100% mortality rate in humans. That is really terrifying. But what this little mongoose is doing seems a bit crazy. There is likely a nearby nest that the small mammal is protecting from the deadly snake. And although it seems like a crazy idea, the mongoose has a great reputation for confronting some of the most deadly snakes on the planet and, well, beating them. They are particularly skilled at killing snakes, even one as aggressive and venomous as the black mamba, and it's amazing to watch. It turns out that, in addition to being good at killing snakes, these little furry mammals also have a secret weapon. They are immune to snake venom. In the end, that must help with their bravery, I suppose. Number 20. Monitor lizard easily eating a rattlesnake. Large and hungry, monitor lizards are fearless and aggressive. They simply don't seem to care if a snake can bite or even inject venom into them. But perhaps they should worry a little bit about this, since the venom of some snakes can be lethal to monitor lizards. Although it is believed they may be immune to rattlesnake venom, which was lucky for this one, the large white-throated monitor lizard known as dino can be seen taunting a rattlesnake and then devouring it with great pleasure. He spends some time simply holding the snake firmly by the head, while the rattlesnake tries to get free from a clearly unsustainable situation. But the lizard is patient and just waits until the snake gives up and enters the dying part of being eaten. Then, Dino swallows the snake whole, apparently unconcerned by any bite the unfortunate animal may have given before being swallowed. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked our content, please subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Also, check out other interesting content that is appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.